over in the first race. Unspeakable. Colin Vager, 29th on the grid. He was right inside the top 10 after race 1. He finished 7th in the end. So good stuff from the Dutchman. Let's see if we can convert that again. If it does, it'll be incredible to come from perfect weather for racing.
Perfect weather. We've got 18 laps of Moto3 action. And certainly for these riders at the front of the field, the key thing really is to make sure that you're able to always stay at the front. That looks like it's Morossi at the back that's had a problem, so hopefully he's going to be able to start from the pit lane. But Kiko, 18 laps around here, it really is a case of trying to make sure that you avoid the trouble in a Moto3 race. And unfortunately, there was a lot of trouble in the early laps.
There was. This is a big pinch point here on your screen. Turn 2. The other one was turn 4. That's the first right-hander after a good, at least, kilometre of either going straight on the bike or left. So the front tyre is very, very cold by the time they get to the right hand of turn 4. This was another corner that can catch you out, especially with the track limits on the exit, so you've got to be careful. We've seen many riders getting track limits warnings and long lap penalties for that. You can see the curb is okay. It's when you cross over to the green that's the problem on the racing laps. Obviously the warm-up lap does not count.
Yeah, you can see then down in towards the left-hander. This is one of the key overtaking opportunities, but it's not the only one, Kiko. You've got plenty of chances around this lap.
You have. Turn 8's one of them. Turn 2, like we've said, is another. Turn 4 can be another as well if you're feeling confident. The next corner they're going to come to is going to be turn 11. We should cut to that any moment. Now, that is a definite overtaking opportunity if you're quick through the first couple of parts of it, because it's a bit of an S's. It's at the top of your screen. We've seen other riders make moves at turn 12. It's not conventional, but it's neither impossible. The problem is you make a move, you tend to lose the run through turn 13, which is the left-hander here, which then drops your momentum all the way over the top of the hill into probably the biggest braking area, the biggest overtaking area on this track. That's turn 14. They're coming to it now. We saw the race 1 here earlier on with race 1 and Danny Holgado shoving it through on the inside of Takuma Matsuyama. We've seen it in ETC as well. That is going to be one of the biggest pinch points on the last lap of this race.
Yeah, it's a full stop into that final corner. Very easy to run in, a little bit hot. We've seen crashes into there, including in the Moto3 class earlier on today. Very easy to make a mistake, very easy to just run in a bit too hot and also lead yourself to a little bit of a collision with some other riders. We saw that as well on the exit. So that last corner is where it often comes down to in the Moto3 class. It looks there like we've got a problem on the grid for Marco Tapia inside the top 10 Tapia, but he's going to have to start from pit lane, you'd imagine. There's going to be a little bit of a delay just waiting for Tapia's bike to clear the grid. Unfortunate for Marco, he was in the European Talent Cup on the podium here last year, but now having to start from pit lane, a lot of work to do for him. But for the rest of the field, Danny Holgado on the pole position. That is Diogo Moreira in second spot. Jose Julian Garcia rounds out the front row of the grid. And for Danny Holgado, he's going for 3 in a row in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Good start for Moreira from the middle of the front row. It looks like Danny Holgado just missed the lights a little bit there. He's trying to get himself steadied up. But for Diogo Moreira, a first career podium in race 1. He's now going to take the whole shot down in towards turn 1. Joel Kelso on the 66 trying to hold on to that 3rd position. Once again, Matsuyama with a fast start on the number 32 machine. All the riders trying to make their way through turn 1. They've all managed to make their way through, but a few riders already running out wide. Jose Julian Garcia trying to run down the inside on the number 20 machine. That's Marco Tapia out of pit lane.
Marco Tapia up and okay, he's running off now. He's going to be at the back of the field, but Diogo Moreira through on the inside comes Ivan Ortola. Joel Kelso going back another place. That's back to 5th for him. Ortola up to 4th. At the front, Diogo Moreira has found great form. He's off and running, Steve.
Yeah, Moreira there on the 92, able to open up a small gap over Danny Holgado. That's Jose Julian Garcia trying to get down the inside. He's had a lot of disappointment so far this season. That looks like it could be Sho Nishimura maybe that's gone down in the mid-pack. Disappointing start to the year for Nishimura. We've seen a few crashes from him in Estoril as well, but at the front of the field it is still Moreira. He had his first podium, Kiko. Looks like he's got his bit of confidence now.
He's definitely got confidence. We've said it many times already during the show. The floodgates have opened and Moreira definitely looking like a different rider. We did not see this coming after Estoril. Was a bit disappointing there. Oh, big crash. That's one of the off. Which one is it? Is it David or is it Daniel? He's up and okay.
They're in identical leathers, tough to see, so we'll wait and see which of them comes through the shot in the next couple of moments. Really easy for that incident to happen. We actually saw probably a similar crash for Gerard Riou in the earlier race this morning as well.
Oh, we got a red flag.
This is Fariola and Morossi that are out as well, and that's a red flag that's been brought out for that. Very easy, Kiko, to have incidents like this in a pack race like the Moto3 class.
Yeah, this is it's not uncommon, especially on the opening lap. You know, it's all so close. Good to see that the riders have come down pit lane almost immediately. They spotted the red flag, and again, this is the second one now of the day, so there'll just be a quick procedure. And what to do is the doctors and medics will get to the fallen rider there.
That's Morossi, and we saw him have a problem on the grid as well, but hopefully Morossi is going to be okay. You can see that there are the marshals there. There's medical staff positioned around the circuit as well, so he'll get treated, and hopefully he'll be back on his feet in just a couple of moments. You can see the Moto3 field making their way back into pit lane. This is Munoz. He's trying to make sure that he's able to get himself back to the pits as well. It's David Munoz. That's the wrong graphic. It's David Munoz. It's number 64, not number 84. And for Munoz, he needs to make sure he's able to ride that bike back to the pits, and then the team can try and repair the bike. It's just a case of whether or not he can get it started. You can see his motivation is to get back as quickly as possible, but certainly trying to get that bike through the gravel trap, always a little bit of an issue. There are a lot of service roads around this Valencia circuit, so you can get back to the pits, even if it's just a case of getting a little bit of a tow there from anyone with a scooter.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Munoz there, but thankfully he was up and okay. Here we go, I think we're going to see it. Rear end just steps out, he's going to ask for the power. Look at that, came right round him. Josh Watley, cat-like reactions there to get out of the way of this. But Munoz lucky not to be caught up with that bike. As you can see, those stones all over the track as well. They're going to have to sweep them up before the restart of this race. And I think he went to get up and then realised, there's no point, I'll sit down instead. So this is the rider being stretchered away. Hopefully it's not as bad as it looks. And second to none facilities here in Valencia, so the rider will be off and get treated. I think we're going to see a replay of the accident. This is turn 2. It is a bit of a pinch point. The rider's already gone down. Oh, I think he got run over by his teammates, but that's the Husqvarnas further down the field, so disaster. That's Morossi picking the bike up. I think it's Farioli who's stuck on the ground there with the
stuck underneath the bike as well.
Legs. Oh dear, that won't be very comfortable. But anyway, they're the main thing is that he's relatively okay. He'll be stretched off and taken to the medical centre. As you can see, this will be, I think it'll be a quick restart procedure, Steve. They're going to put the bikes out onto the grid for 60 seconds to get back out on track once pit lane opens.
Yeah, it'll be a quick restart procedure. We'll use the original grid as well. And that's a good thing for Danny Delgado. Didn't make a great start. We saw it was a bit strange, Kiko. Yeah. There was a delay on the grid because of Marco Tapia, and that seemed to unsettle Danny Delgado just a little bit. And he missed the lights really. It looked like he was trying to get himself steadied on, and then suddenly Diogo Moreira was able to make that start. This is Munoz. He's been able to get the bike restarted. He's going to ride it back to the pits, and as long as he's able to get it back in time, he'll still be able to take the restarted race. The team might just have to do a little bit of a repair job to the bike.
Yeah, it doesn't look too badly damaged. I'll just tidy it up a little bit, make sure everything's running and working okay. But he was very unlucky to be caught out there on the first lap as well. He was equally as lucky not to be collected by another rider. It's a disastrous place to fall. We've seen it many times here at Valencia. His leathers are definitely scuffed, that is for sure.
Yeah, we saw Asman also able to just about avoid him and Josh Watley as well. So good riding in the middle of the pack to see that instant and avoid a little bit of target fixation. Very easy in the middle of the pack for riders to trip over one another, especially whenever you've got such a closely matched field like you do in the Moto3 class. It's all about momentum. It's all about tucking in behind people. Very easy for incidents like that to happen, and it really is a case of those opening couple of laps. We've unfortunately seen a little bit too much action in the Moto3 class today.
Yeah, they were quite well behaved in Estoril, but they're making up for it here today in Valencia, that is for certain. But luckily everyone's been okay and not too badly hurt or injured or otherwise. So everyone will just take a moment now to digest what's happened. They're going to have to do it all over again, go through the same procedure. Munoz has made it back to pit lane, Steve, so that's not bad for him, but did he make it back within that 5 minutes? Let's see. I hope.
We're at 22 minutes past, so the race started 7 minutes ago. He's could be back just in time.
Just in time.
You know, so for Munoz, now it's a case of just making sure that he's able to get that bike ready for the restarted race. We're still waiting for confirmation for the race restart time as well. So hopefully, well, it's actually just come up now. We've got 14:27, so 5 minutes time we'll be back in action in the Moto3 class. A 12-lap race, so a 2/3 race distance, but it will be from the original grids. And the good news about that, Kiko, is in the Moto3 class, it's not quite like some other classes of racing where a short race tends to mean that the brain goes out immediately. Moto3,
it's already out.
It's already out. You're already trying to be aggressive all the way through. The shorter races can tend to keep the group together a little bit more. Yeah,
and it also brings in an element of dive bombing from the off. And there we are, we're in the AGR camp there. Joel Kelso giving us a wave to the camera alongside his teammate down there. So hopefully a good... Joel Kelso just needs points in this race, Steve. He just needs to settle down and just bring it home a top 6, top 8. Something like that will do him just fine. No points so far from him, but it's been one of the biggest improvers coming into this year.
Yeah, and I have to say, for Kelso, if he's able to make that step, he's able to build on what happened at the end of last season. He had a top 10 finish here in Valencia. He's now qualified in the second row of the grid for both of the opening 2 races. He has made a clear step forward. Now he just needs to get the results that go with that. But it is tough when you jump forward and you're in that battle at the front of the field. That's what makes the likes of Ivan Ortola, a rookie in the class, able to come straight in, be in that leading group at all times. It
makes it very impressive what Ortola's able to do. He's been very fast in qualifying. Rookie pole sitter last time out on his debut. The problem for Ortola is he is literally in amongst the big fighting, and I'm not sure he's quite used to that in Moto3 just yet. That will come with time. Probably by the time we get to Catalonia or Jerez is when we'll see him really come into his own and fit right in.
Yeah, I suppose he's only used to the calm racing of European Talent Cup and Red Bull rookies, so you know this will be totally different.
Totally different.
Very much step into the unknown for Ivan Ortola. He has looked very impressive in the opening 2 races of the season. You can see there that at 14:27 we will reopen pit lane. That's about 3 minutes time. Quick restart procedure. So for all the riders, they have 60 seconds to get themselves out of pit lane. They go to the grid. They're met by one mechanic just to give the bike a quick look over, and then sent out in the sighting lap, and then we go straight into a 12-lap race.
What we were saying earlier, Steve, in the red flag period of Moto2 about teams that need to get out in that 60 seconds. We've got a bit of a clean-up job going on there. There must have been a little bit of an oil spillage, but that seems to be all done. What we were saying earlier, Steve, about the teams getting that bike out in the 60-second period, for the likes of David Munoz, who've crashed, that is now imperative. They've got to be thorough with that bike right away.
Well, the one thing about it is, if you start from pit lane, you've got no chance in the 12-lap race, no matter how fast you could potentially be. And certainly for the likes of Munoz, you've got to make sure you're able to get down pit lane. The team do have round about 5 minutes to get that bike ready from whenever he re-entered pit lane. But 5 minutes can be a lot of time, or it can be very little time, depending on how much work there is to be done.
Even Pedro Acosta would struggle in a pit lane start for 12 laps, especially around here in Valencia. It's not the easiest place to get the passes done. This is Danny Holgado, 2 wins from 2 so far, and a pole for this 3rd race of the season. Look at that sky, Steve. Valencia is treating us here. It doesn't normally do this, although the end of last year was perfect, and here at the start of May, lovely stuff. Perfect for racing.
Yeah, it really is just ideal conditions right now here in Valencia. And hopefully for these Moto3 riders, whenever the pit lane opens in about a minute's time, they'll be able to have a clean run through those early laps and give us the kind of entertainment that the Moto3 class always gives us. Because, Kiko, these guys, it's so easy to say that the stars of tomorrow, they're actually the stars of already.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the MotoGP paddock, these are the guys that we see in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. You know, everyone knew who the likes of Pedro Acosta was last year because of his form in the Rookies Cup and also in the CEV Junior World Championship.
And likewise, Ethan Guevara, who's also there, and all the riders who've gone on before that. You know, this championship, it is turning out so many top stars of all classes, Steve. It doesn't even stop in Moto3. It goes on to Moto2, and as we have seen, right the way through the categories in MotoGP, it's to the top of world motorcycling.
And that's what's really key for the likes of, you can see Scott Ogden there, the young British rider. It's so important for riders to get those opportunities. Ogden has that opportunity now. We saw Max Cook have that opportunity last year. Cook, of course, going back to race in Britain this year. Ogden getting an opportunity to run with one of the top teams, it does make a massive difference. The likes of the British Talent Cup, the European Talent Cup, the Asia Talent Cup, now the Northern European Talent Cup, it means that young riders get lots of opportunities to show what they can do and then get a chance to race in this class.
And that's great. You know, it's been missing, particularly in the UK, for such a long time, a direct stepping stone from British Domestic Series and the World Championships. And now that structure isn't just in place by one intermediate class between the two, but there's loads of little options you can take. And, you know, they're all on the road to MotoGP. It's a great system, and it's a great way to connect grassroots with world level.
I was actually talking to a few full-fledged Grand Prix riders about this, and one of them, Sam Lowes, was talking about just how big of a benefit it is for the young riders, comparing him to hit back whenever he was coming through the British 125 series or Stock 600, and he'd get, you know, a handful of days riding all the way through the year. These riders get, you know, CEV championships, Red Bull rookies, talent cups, whatever you want to look at. Lots of riding all the way through the year. They're trained up to be star riders, whether it's in terms of their fitness training, nutrition from a very early age. There really is a great education system to try and give these riders an opportunity. And Kiko, that's why we see someone like Acosta come in and immediately hit the ground running. It's why we saw Xavi Artigas come in as a debutant to have a podium here in Valencia a few years ago. Can Öncü came through and won on his debut. You know, the road to MotoGP really does work.
And the structure around it, it's a very professional structure. It's not just a clear-cut path. There are professional people in place. There's professional athletes supporting it. If you look at the likes of Michael Laverty, they've got their own academy now. He started his own academy back home in the UK. A structure that has been in place over in the continent like Spain and Italy for many years. And it's just professionalising the industry. You know, for the likes of the CEV, it's broadcast all over the world as well. It's a very real feel to a championship. It is almost feeling like a world championship, and that's why it's called the Junior World Championship. All of these riders who are very, very fast will, I would say, in 5 years be a front runner in Moto3. But Pedro Acosta, if we looked at him last year, in 5 years he'll be in MotoGP at this rate, the way he's going. And that is what we've needed. It's no longer it takes you 10 years to reach the top of your game. If you're fast, you're given the opportunity now. Yeah,
unfortunately, Pedro's probably making it a little bit tough for all the riders that are going to follow in his footsteps. But certainly,
comparisons.
For these riders here, you can see Danny Delgado, a little bit of encouragement there from his mechanic on the pole position. Everyone now making their way through to their grid positions.
Just a quick note on that, Steve, about the Aspar team in general. Jorge Martinez Aspar himself has now got the team here. That's with Nico Troll and Ivan Goy at the trackside, and that's what we're talking about, professionalising the sport. These riders and ex-world champions are down here at the grassroots level too.
Yeah, of course, for Nico Troll, a former 125 world champion, for Ivan Goy, former Grand Prix race winner, and that Aspar team, there's another rider with a problem down there. It looks like it's Asman. Disappointment there for Asman. He's going to have to start from pit lane. You can see there for the 63. Is he going to be able to get it bumped?
Is he going to bump
His team's going to try it. And, he's been told get straight to pit lane there.
Oh dear.
And that's disappointment there for Asman. Going to be very tough from him for pit lane. You can see there one of the Munoz just running all the way out there. Look, it's Daniel Munoz on the number 17 machine. We have to keep an eye out for the number 64, David Munoz, to see if he's been able to make his way out there and if he's been able to take the start of this race. Hopefully he has, because Munoz very strong in the opening race of the day. It looks like he has. It looks like we've got one of the purple bikes up at the front of that group. We'll just have to wait and see if we can see the number. But Kiko, this really is a case of, for all these riders now, you've got to make sure you get through those open couple of corners. You've got to make sure that you're at the front and avoiding any of those troubles that we had earlier on in the initial start.
You can't afford to be down the field, Steve, and battling away with riders you're not familiar with. You've got to be able to get away. That's why for the likes of Takuma Matsushima, you can see Shira Food in Asman there, just devastated at the fact he's going to have to do this in pit lane, and we know it's all over before it's even begun for Asman, which is so unfortunate for him, the number 63. But back talking about the battling, that's why for Takuma Matsuyama, he's 6th and on road 2. He needs to get a 3rd perfect start here. And Daniel Holgado needs to do the same, because he went backwards in that first stint.
I think for Matsuyama, keep an eye on the number 32 machine. He's had his first podium in the class. He always goes well here in Valencia. Front row start here last year as well. This is a track he enjoys. He's got a lot of confidence right now. It looks like he's going to be making his World Championship debut next week. That's the talk of the Moto3 paddock here in Valencia. So he's got that confidence that comes from knowing he's getting a big opportunity next weekend. He's got a chance now to really build on that first podium. Let's see if he's able to make a quick start and give himself a chance. That is Munoz, and you can see he has been able to get out, able to get to the grid, and certainly for Munoz on that 64 machine, he gets a second opportunity.
He does, and it's a much-needed second opportunity. This is your pole man, though, Daniel Holgado. He took victory in race 1 ahead of Takuma Matsuyama. And just a quick note before we get underway, Steve. How good is it to see the Moon Eyes back on the front of a junior world championship event, and got a major race really? It's been a long time.
Yeah, and certainly for the Japanese riders coming through, lots of talent now coming through as a direct result of the Asian Talent Cup. Matsuyama, one of those riders. Lots of race winners from that championship have now been given opportunities. Great to see that coming through from Asia. This is going to be a 12-lap race in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Danny Holgado on pole position, and as the lights go out, Holgado makes a better start this time, but still not as good as Diogo Moreira. Moreira on the 92 able to make a very fast start. That's Clement Rouge just fanning out to the left-hand side on the 45. But for these riders in the run down in towards turn 1, Moreira is going to try and hold on that lead. Ivan Ortola on the 24 tries to get down the inside. He's up into 3rd position now from 5th on the grid. A few riders running themselves out wide, but certainly right now we've got Moreira, Holgado, Ortola, and you can see now it looks like maybe it's one of the other Aspar bikes trying to make some progress. That's Asman leaving the pits.
Yeah, Asman leaves the pits, and Matsuyama, we said he needed to make a good start again. He's made a diabolical start. He's down in about 10th place, being pushed around by David Salvador down there. So that's Mattia Volpi. He's at the back of the pack at the moment with Asman behind, but out front Moreira and Holgado and Ortola. Kelso's held position. He's in 4th.
In the initial start, we saw Moreira was able to take an early lead, stretch out a couple of bike lines. He's trying to do the same now, and this time it's from Danny Holgado once again. Holgado with a much better start. Ivan Ortola with a much better start as well. Of course, for Ortola, stepping up from the European Talent Cup, he had pole position at the opening race of the year in Estoril. Looks like he's got a fast bike underneath him once again here in Valencia, trying to make sure he makes up for that disappointment of what happened at the end of the opening race of the day, whenever he got boxed out a little bit, came away with points, but would have thought he had a chance of a podium. He's now got that opportunity once again. The back of this group, it's the other Munoz that's gone down, and he's taken down the 64 David. It was Daniel that lost it initially, and David Munoz, both races, he's managed to get just as far as that corner, and he gets tagged up by Daniel's instant there. So lucky that it was only the 2 Munoz that went down, but disappointment there for both of them.
Me, look at that. Anything you can do, brother, I can do a bit better. I hope he's okay. At the front, Diogo Moreira and Daniel Holgado, they're clean of trouble. That has really split the pack, though. You can see, look at this, the front 5 or 6, I think 6 are away and running as Holgado hits the front where he has been so comfortable. That's where he led almost every lap in race 1.
Yeah, for the Munoz, they've now going to have to try and wait until the next round in Catalunya to come back, but you can see here for the 66, Joel Kelso immediately trying to come back through on Jose Julian Garcia. Those are 2 riders that were involved in the crash in race 1. They're trying to make sure now that they're able to score some decent points. Out in front,
oh, no chance of it now.
And you can see there once again, it looks like it's Alonso and Kelso out of this one. Kelso coming away with no points from the opening 3 races, despite qualifying on the 2nd row of the grid in both Estoril and here in Valencia. David Salvador, though, making a lot of progress in the early laps here of this 12-lap race. Kiko, it looks like in the early stages, everyone just being a bit too aggressive to try and make their progress in the short race.
That was a ridiculous move from Alonso. I don't exactly know what on earth he was trying to look at the state of that front fairing. Joel Kelso, for a 3rd race now, he's going to be without points. A disastrous start for the Aussie. Just cannot catch a break. He's limping, but he's up and okay-ish. He's clearly got a bit of discomfort, but Joel Kelso, this is what's happened, Steve. Down into turn 4. Alonso is never going to pull that off. He's so fast in the closing speed there and just punts Joel Kelso off and running. I mean, luckily Alonso's up on his feet. That bike was so lucky not to get tangled up with one of the riders. But a disaster for both of them. And down has gone Sho Nishimura, another disaster. He's had a terrible start to this year. He looks like that's on the exit of turn 8, I think.
Yeah, and certainly for Nishimura, we've seen plenty of crashes for him all the way through the practice and qualifying sessions in Estoril, and now unfortunately in this race as well. I think for David Alonso, it looked like one of those cases where he was committed to making the move and then just leaves it a little bit too late. Keep an eye out here for the 57 to see what happens to him, and just gets spat out over the top, and unfortunate there for Sho Nishimura. It's been a tough day for his team as well. We obviously saw Bill Van Erde having a crash in the opening race, and Gerard Riou as well, so it hasn't been easy for them. But at the front of the field, Danny Holgado once again trying to make it look a little bit easy. He's been able to find his way to the front. Diogo Moreira had his first podium in the opening race of the day. He's got a bit of confidence about himself now. Ivan Ortola on the 24 looks like he's got quite a bit of speed right now, wants to make amends for what happened in the opening race of the day. And then you've got Jose Julian Garcia in 4th position there, and then the gap that has opened up back to the 32 of Matsuyama and David Salvador.
Someone off very wide at the top of the screen at turn 6. Not sure if it was a crash or just a run-on, but whoever it was very, very wide. I'm trying to look down the order, don't know who it was, but really big mover is David Salvador. That is incredible. From around row 6, I think he was down there in
16th
on the grid, and he has come right into contention. Takuma Matsuyama, with all the chaos around him, and as he goes through all the stones, is really mired back now. He's down in 5th.
Yeah, for Salvador, he's got lots of speed on that TM racing bike. He's actually done a good job switching teams this year. He's been able to adapt to that bike very well, but clearly here in Valencia, struggled in the qualifying sessions, but he's looked better during the course of the race. He's got a bit of experience, a bit of racecraft about him, and he's just trying to grind out some decent points-paying positions now. He's just behind Matsuyama at the top of your screen. But you can see there the leading 4, they've now stretched out a gap of about 2.5 seconds there from the number 20 of Garcia back to the 32 of Matsuyama. It's still Danny Halgado leading the way. That is Munoz, David Munoz, and 2 crashes for Munoz, and nothing he can do here. Daniel's going to crash right in front of him. You can see the purple bike, high side for him, and David Munoz with nowhere to go, and the 2 Munoz boys, and it's very unfortunate for them.
I'll tell you what, Josh Watley will be thinking he's having deja vu with the way he just had to avoid all of them then. But the Munoz, dear me, so it was a very, very good result for them in the race 1, 4th and 5th. Double DNF, that won't be very good as we all watch on in the Aspar cameras. Ivan Goy there on your right-hand side. Holgado leading. Holgado leading comfortably as well. I mean, he's under a little bit of pressure, but he's got no problem leading from the front, Steve. This is what we've seen him do time and time again. He's very, very comfortable out there. Yeah,
led, I think it was 14 laps in the opening race today. Led the important lap as well, the last lap. But certainly for Danny Holgado, he's not afraid of being the rider that's being chased down. He's not afraid of being the rider that everyone has as a target on their back. We're just seeing there that the incident between Kelso and Alonso is being reviewed after the race. But be interesting to see if anything comes from that. It's a fairly typical incident that we see in the Moto3 class. Very easy for the riders just to be a little bit too committed at different times. You're trying to make the moves, especially in the early stages of the race. But unfortunate for Joel Kelso to have another really strong potential race just taken from him. But we'll see what he's able to do whenever he's back in action in Montmeló.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be able to take them weeks off, reset and come back strong. We know he's going to be fast, and it's just a matter of getting points on the board now. We said it during that red flag period as Diego Moreira tries to go through, can't do. We said it in that red flag period, Steve. It's just about Kelso. He just needs to score some points and build from that. This front group have definitely broken clear, but Takuma Matsuyama was in this situation not just earlier on, but also in Estoril, and he did bridge the gap. It's a little bit bigger this time, but in general, it's not impossible or insurmountable, although only 8 laps to do it.
That's the thing, it's a very different race whenever it's only a 2/3 race distance, and certainly for Matsuyama, he needs to get his head down and hopefully not get into a battle with David Salvador and see if he's able to close down that gap. Last time around, he lost 10th of a second to the race leaders because they've got the advantage of having a slipstream around them, whereas Matsuyama's just trying to do the chasing. If Matsuyama's to have a chance, it's going to have to be exactly what happened in race 1, where these race leaders start to trip over one another and they cost each other time. As it is right now, the leading 4 are all quite happy for Danny Holgado to set the pace. They know Holgado's fast, they know he's consistent, and they're just going to leave it up to Holgado for the time being to try and make sure that as we move into the second half of the race, that it is just those 4 riders at the front. That is Matsuyama, though, in 5th position. And Kiko, to be honest, if he can come away with another 5th position, really strong start to the season.
Very consistent start to the season, something that he can really build on moving forward as they go to Catalonia next, and at a track that, you know, it'll be very much more suited to pack racing than somewhere like Valencia, and there'll be hopefully a little bit less chaos all around. Weekend, Steve.
Quite like the chaos, to be honest, Kiko.
I like it.
Quite good, you know, but at the front
as
of the
long as
field,
it's out there and not in here.
Well, that's it, but at the front of the field, you can see now Moreira makes his move to take the lead on the run down in towards turn 1, use that slipstream. We're just coming up to round about half distance in this race, so this is where the riders now start to feel each other out. They know that the gap back to Matsuyama is round about 2.5 seconds. Matsuyama last time around, though, did take half a second out of them. That's why it's important for Moreira to hit the front and see if he's able to set a faster pace to keep that leading 4 away from Matsuyama, because we know Matsuyama isn't afraid of getting his head down, closing the gap to those that group in front of him.
He's definitely got great race pace on his own. It's just, again, like in the first race, there was just too much going on around him, and he did get shuffled back, and that was just so hard for him then to overcome by the time the race really got into its stride. But very impressed with Diogo Moreira, Steve. This is something we have not seen from him in the last year or so, and he's put it on the front row. That's good. You can do that in qualifying. You can pull one lap out of nowhere. But Moreira has got good race pace here. The Brazilian rider, number 92, I'm talking about, ahead of this field, has got good pace. And we didn't see him do this in race one. He didn't hit the front with 7 laps to go. He was very patient in second and third.
Yeah, for Moreira there in the lead, this is a key opportunity for him. He had never had a podium up until this morning's race. He had always had, you know, we were inside the top 10, one top 5 finish, and suddenly now he's got the confidence that comes from being in the lead group, being in a battle for the race win right to the end. He's got podiums in the Red Bull Rookies Cup though, so he's used to being at the front of a field, but very different whenever you're battling at the front of the field in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Also, Kiko, he's on the Honda, different bike to Halgado behind him. Halgado able to use the slipstream and uses KTM to take the race lead, but at least this time we do have 2 Hondas in the lead group, 2 KTMs, or a gas and a KTM, they're the same bike, and it is a little bit of variety at the front once again in Moto3. We're into the second half of the race now. And
a TM in 6th place as well, Steve. All the 4 major manufacturers are right there, although Salvador is just a little bit off the pace. But yeah, Moreira, it's almost like he's started to believe, I can do it. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is almost like something in his head from a good qualifying and a good first race is like, this is where I belong in this class.
Yeah, and behind that, Matsuyama's got that belief as well. You can see he's broken away from David Salvador. He's opened up a gap of about a second and a half to Salvador, but most importantly, he pulled back another couple of tenths of a second on the riders in front of him. He's round about 1.8 seconds back now, so he is closing that gap down. If he can get within a second, that's whenever you bridge the gap very quickly, so he knows he needs to find just a little bit more time for that. That's Eddie O'Shea. We saw the crash in race 1, so hopefully for Eddie, he's able to bounce back from that in Catalunya, and it's not too bad of an injury for him, but very easy for that to happen in the Moto3 class. We've seen a lot of crashes this weekend so far. Unfortunate for Eddie though that he's had that injury.
Yeah, Eddie will fight back. He's made a steal, so hopefully he'll be back out in Catalunya and without any ill effects of that. I don't know if it was an arm or a wrist there, but whatever it is, it's ruled him out of race 2. Meanwhile, it could be a carbon copy of race 1 here with Holgado, Moreira and Altola at the front. Of course, in 4th, it's Jose Julian Garcia. Now, he just needs a good podium position here. This is the 32. This is Takuma Matsuyama, one of the fastest riders on the track, if not the fastest rider on the track. The lap times that time around, again, 0.3 of a second quicker than a couple of those 3 race leaders, and it's now 1.8 seconds, Steve. 5 laps to go, and these 4, you would presume, are going to start swapping and changing, and that's going to bring Takuma Matsuyama in closer.
Yeah, that's whenever Matsuyama gets his real chance. His pace has been very consistent since he's been able to get in front of David Salvador and just break away from him. He's closing down that gap. These guys now starting to fight with one another. 4.5 laps to go. Danny Halgado on the 96 leading this race. He's won the first 2 races of the year. Diego Moreira there in 2nd spot. He's been able to have his first career podium earlier on today. Ivan Ortola, he was a pole setter and a podium man in the opening race of the year. He's under attack there from Jose Julian Garcia on the 20. Garcia makes his move into the 3rd, and Garcia needs to score some good points today because he's had some bad luck to start this season so far. You can see there Morassi crashing out of this race. He's already had a few crashes over the course of this weekend, involved in the incident that brought out one of the red flags as well. But now at the front of the field, it is starting to stretch out a little bit here, Kiko. You can see Moreira trying to get down the inside into the right-hander, able to make the move clean, but that's a move that can be made all the way from quite a distance. Also for Danny Halgado with 4.5 laps to go, he's also not going to be riding that quite as aggressively as he would at the end of the race.
Yeah, but for Moreira there, he came from a long way back. I don't know if Holgado slightly missed the apex. He was a little wide, but that can also be the natural line. Oh no! Takuma Matsuyama's gone! That's where is that? At the 5th place, is that up at turn 12?
That's going to be up at turn 11 probably for Matsuyama.
Oh dear, Hiroshi Oyama watches on. He's going to be weeping into his beer later on today. Takuma Matsuyama, disaster. Moreira's still leading. Through comes Ortola, fighting back on Jose Julian Garcia, and makes a clean move there. That's a big boy move at turn 1.
Yeah, turn 1, round about 95, 100 miles an hour for these Moto3 machines, and certainly for Ivan Ortola, you can see that the gap is starting to stretch out at the front of this group. You've got to make sure that you're in the right position. It's a 4-rider group for the race victory, and then a big gap back of about 4 seconds to David Salvador in 5th position. So we know, Kiko, the race win's going to come out from this group. But right now, Diogo Moreira looks like the rider that he's got a little bit of confidence now from that podium. We know Holgado is going to be fast all the way through this race. He's picked up 2 race wins so far. But Ivan Ortola stepping up from the ETC, he wants to have a chance to win this race.
Yeah, and the good thing for Ortola is, at worst, well, besides being taken out or crashing, he will finish 4th. And that's good now because he's not battling with a load of riders. He's battling with 2 riders who he was with earlier and knows roughly how they work, and Jose Julian Garcia, who's pretty clean. We've seen him make very, very clean passes so far. So Ortola shouldn't get too flabbergasted by the riders around him. He should keep it quite neat, quite tidy, and be able to respond if someone tries to put a move on him. The 24 I'm talking about, the white bike in 3rd. This is the 92. This is the race leader going for a first victory in the class. First victory for Brazil if he can manage it. We're going to be 3 laps to go. This is one of those overtaking hotspots, Steve.
Yeah, there are quite a few around this lap. The last corner does tend to come down to it an awful lot in the Moto3 class. Came down to it this morning. Danny Holgado on the 96 able to take that race victory this morning. It's a very different battle now, though. Diogo Moreira, 3 laps to go for the number 92. He's about to be slipstreamed on the run down towards the line, but as it is right now, it's hard to pick who's going to be the rider that comes out on top in this. What's interesting, though, is Jose Julian Garcia has kept a very clean nose all the way through this. Hasn't looked to be making the moves like some of the other riders, Kiko. Does he have something? Does he have an answer to those riders around him?
I'm not sure if he has an answer, but he definitely feels like he's not rushing. He's quite confident. He's methodical in his riding, and I think that's going to pay dividends later on in the race in a couple of laps' time. This is a battle for the rest of the top 6. Marcos Ruda, don't forget he had a great result here in the ETC last year. I think he was a race winner actually in Valencia. And then there's Mario Agi in 7th place. Super Mario, is he going to be able to put a move over that for a top 6 finish? Agi, good start to the season, Steve. In Estoril he was top 5, I think.
Yeah, not quite able to build on it here in Valencia. We've got 2.5 laps to go now for these riders, and certainly as it is right now out in front of Danny Holgado from Ivan Ortola, under attack once again from Diogo Moreira. He made that move a few laps ago on Danny Holgado, so clearly feels quite good on that change of direction. It is a section where you do need a bike underneath you to have that confidence to try and push the front on the run down in towards the right-hander there to make the moves. But Moreira right now looks strong. He's been able to make quite a few moves over the course of this race. But once again, Danny Holgado just able to stretch his legs, get to the front whenever he wants to. But once you're down into the last 2 laps, Kiko, it really is a bit of a lottery in Moto3.
It is, and it's all about track position. It's all about momentum into the corners, out of the corners. It's all about just keeping that steady flow without costing yourself too much time. Diogo Moreira is going to go to the front. There's nothing wrong with the Honda power in the slipstream there. And through comes the Team MTA KTM into 2nd. So Holgado back to 3rd. Through on the inside comes Ruda. That's for 5th place on Salvador. Good move there from Ruda. 4 abreast. Garcia is punting Holgado back. This is back to 4th place now, so he's got even more work to do. Moreira is out front. There's a little gap, but not so much, Steve. Great stuff here in the last 2 laps.
In race 1, we saw Danny Holgado have an instant in the final couple of laps. Had to come back through the leading group. He's going to have to do it once again now with a lap and a half to go. Holgado at the back of this group with that yellow hat almost. He's going to have to try and recover, because right now Jose Julian Garcia has tried to make his moves. He's moved himself up into the podium spots. He needs decent points here today. He also needs right now, as it stands, Danny Holgado to lose a few points. Holgado is trying to make his move down into the left-hander. This is one of the key overtaking opportunities for the riders, but certainly for Danny Holgado, he doesn't want to give Ivan Ortola a big gap. It's Moreira out in front from the 92, and then the 24 of Ortola, and then you've got Holgado and Garcia. Lap and a half to go, Kiko.
Yeah, lap and a half to go, and you know, Holgado, he's not quite there, but he's not quite dropped off. The slipstream for him down the front straight is going to be so important. The 96 I'm talking about there. But Diogo Moreira, look at this. He is out front and looking very, very comfy indeed. We're going into the last corner. We know he's good on the braking areas as well. Ortola didn't have a sniff there. Maybe he doesn't want to show too much of a wheel. A lap to go. Yeah,
Ortola doesn't have to show a wheel just yet. We've still got a lap left in this race. You can see now the slipstream really important. Holgado on the 96 really trying to use that toe from Ivan Ortola to move himself up into 2nd spot. In race 1, he went from 3rd to 1st on the last lap. He's gone from 3rd to 1st fast into turn 1. Moreira tries to get down the inside.
Mate.
How there wasn't contact there between himself and Ortola. All 4 riders living to fight another day, living to fight another lap. You can see here with Jose Julian Garcia moves himself up on the number 20 machine into 3rd position. Moreira on the 92 at the back of this group now, Kiko. He was leading a couple of corners ago, and you can see from Danny Holgado, he now needs to think, Kiko, where does he have to defend?
Holgado has got to defend really into turn 8, but he doesn't want to do it too much. He can't really defend into turn 11, and that's a passing opportunity because he's going to compromise inside.
Garcia down the inside. Garcia, of course, one of the more experienced riders in the field. He kept his powder dry all the way through this 12-lap race. The last couple of laps, though, he's been making some moves. Ortola's going to try and get down the inside into turn 8 because he can see Danny Holgado once again stretching out a little bit of a lead. We've got 4 riders in the battle now into the next right-hander. This is where it becomes really important to see who's able to make the moves. Holgado out in front, possibly with enough of a margin in hand now over Garcia. You can see Diego Moreira once again able to make that move into the right-hander. Gets himself up into 3rd position. It's Holgado still leading from Garcia. Ivan Ortola trying to answer into the right-hander.
Yeah, this is the battle we wanted to see. Oh, massive crash,
Moreira with a huge crash that's gone out from the podium fights. And for Moreira, he's now going to have to just dust himself off. Disappointment for the Brazilian rider. Holgado's got enough of a gap now over Garcia. And then it's Ivan Ortola in 3rd position. Unfortunate for Diogo Moreira, but once again we're able to see Danny Holgado come away with the spoils, and another race victory for Danny Holgado. 3 from 3 in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Jose Julian Garcia able to come away with his first podium of the season. Ivan Ortola up on the podium once again. But for Diogo Moreira, it's a missed opportunity for him further down the field. David Salvador missed out in that last lap. Super Mario able to pick up a top 5 finish there. Mario Aggi and Marcus Ruda able to come away with that 4th position. That is a very, very dramatic last lap, Kiko, and it looks like Diogo Moreira holding his wrist there.
Yeah, the right wrist. It went, the back end stepped out on the way into the corner, and that would have flicked him. It probably did hurt his right wrist there, his throttle hand. Well, I was just about to say it's the battle we wanted to see between Holgado and Garcia. They are the 2 riders we expect to be fighting for this championship. What a race that was indeed, and another win for the Aspar Junior team. As we said, Steve, Ruda, Aggi and Salvador completing the top 6, with Ryu Tapia, David Real and Scott Ogden of Great Britain completes the top 10.
And as you can see for Danny Holgado, 3 from 3, just like what we've seen in the Moto2 class as well. Riders coming in and really establishing themselves at the start of the season. Holgado's been able to have another great win. He came from 3rd position at the start of that last lap to take the race victory in both races. So for Danny Holgado, really very impressive stuff. But this is the instant on that last lap. Keep an eye on the 92. Just tries to keep that momentum and trying to keep Ivan Ortola at bay. It just shows just how much on the limit these Moto3 riders can be in those closing stages. You're trying to make the moves, you're trying to hold on to a podium there for Diogo Moreira. At least he was able to pick up his first podium finish of his CEV career earlier on today, but that's a missed opportunity for him once again. Hopefully not too badly hurt after that crash, but certainly a big crash for him. For Jose Julian Garcia, he's able to come away with another podium finish. One of the most experienced riders in the class. He's now had 7 podiums in the Moto3 class. He has had a race win as well, but really important for him to come away with decent points here at the 3rd race of the season after having only 7 points in Estoril, a crash this morning. He really needed to start building some momentum in the Moto3 class. And that momentum really has all been built by the likes of Danny Holgado in the early stages of the season. That is Danny Holgado, winner in Estoril, winner this morning, and winner once again in this shortened red flagged race. And over 12 laps, he was able to just establish himself once again. He led, again, huge portions of this race, led most of this morning's race as well. He's the rider that's had the pressure of being the pre-season favourite, and he's certainly living up to his billing in these early stages of the season. See there, a bit of congratulations from the marshals, and now he'll go back to the Parc Ferme to get the congratulations and the acclaim from his team. Really impressive stuff from Danny Holgado to start the season. That's Garcia down there. That's Ivan Ortola down there in pit lane. Just he's going to go and celebrate with his team. He's got a bit of time until the race winner gets back there, but for Ivan Ortola, really impressive ride once again. He was impressive in this morning's race to be able to be in that leading battle all the way through, and that's his first podium in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Dani Delgado's getting used to being on the podium in the Junior World Championship. He's getting used to the view from the top step of the podium in the Junior World Championship as well. Gets his way back into Parc Fermé, and for Delgado, now into his third year in the class, there was pressure coming into this season. You're with a team like Aspar, you're expected to win, you're expected to challenge for the championship. And he's living up to those expectations, and you can see there what it means for him and what it means for the team. Very different reaction now compared to this morning as well. But certainly for Dani Delgado, it means the same. Another 25 points in this shortened race, but really impressive from the young Spaniard to be able to come off with this race victory as well. A few years ago, he turned up in Valencia for his Moto3 debut, marked himself out as a bit of a star of the future, but his form in these opening 3 races of the year really does confirm that as well. And you can see there for Ivan Ortola, just heads into the Parc Fermé now as well after being down with his team. All the riders will be weighed and checked down there in Parc Fermé, and then the results will be confirmed. But as it is, Delgado, Garcia, Ivan Ortola is our podium. Definitely worth giving Marcus Ruda a shout out for coming home in 4th position. Really good ride, good recovery in those closing stages, and he was able to take that 4th position. Mario Aggi once again able to come away with a top 5 finish, and for Aggi, he was competitive in Estoril, and now he's been able to come away with a decent result here as well, and that'll do his early season chances the world of good. You can see Dani Delgado down there, just still with the team. And that's Gino Borsoi down there. Of course, Gino, a former Grand Prix rider and the team manager for Aspar. And certainly for Aspar, they just continue to have this rich form of young riders coming through. This is the race-winning overtake. This is the move that he made on the last lap. Goes from 3rd to 1st. Diogo Moreira and then Ivan Ortola dispatched with by Dani Delgado, and on that last lap he just got his head down, made sure he had good pace all the way through, almost the same pace as his fastest lap of the race, able to take advantage then of the bit of confusion that comes from the Diogo Moreira crash to be able to take this race victory by 0.3 of a second. That was probably the biggest margin between this group all the way through the 12-lap race. But for Dani Delgado, he's been able to walk away with a double win here in Valencia, and it really does set him up nicely for the coming rounds as well. We've got another double header next time out in Catalonia, then it's Portimao before the summer break after the Aragon round as well. It does come thick and fast for these riders in the CEV Championship. They're also, for a lot of them, racing in the Red Bull Rookies Cup as well. But for Dani Delgado, 3 from 3, and he's down in Parc Fermé with Kiko.
Daniel Delgado, a hat-trick of wins in 2021, magical start. Tell us how you did it.
I am very happy for my first victory of the session. Thanks to my team for all, my family, my friends.